Want a chance to win at over $3,000 in prizes? It's free. Go to the Paddle and Fin Facebook page, fill out our Spring Madness bracket. We got matches between all the hosts here at Paddle and Fin, and we added Josh Smith from the Dark Waters Kayak Fishing Podcast. We're going to battle it out. Live streams will be every Sunday, so you could follow along on your bracket to see how you're doing every Sunday morning between 8 and noon, your local time, and the top 7 places of the brackets are going to have a chance at huge prizes. We got Orion coolers, Ketch Products, Never Lost Tethers, Flip It ID holders, Angler Button, a chance at a Black Pack or a Chinook PFD, $50 gift card to South Mountain Media, TRC Covers, Boss Buffs. We got a Rack Net, Yak Gadget, RoboHawk, Biz Baits, Wicked Weights, She Angler Custom Baits. I mean, guys, the list is long. Go fill out your bracket. Either send it in to the Paddle and Fin Facebook page or email it to paddle, the letter N, and fin at gmail.com for your chance to win today.
This segment is brought to you by JigMasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to JigMasters.com and use promo code PNF20 and save 20% off your next jig order today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of Off the Water. I'm your host, JP, and this is going to be the initial information for traveling across the country. We're going to be looking at destinations that hold great fisheries, and when you're done fishing them, we're going to tell you what to do while you're off the water. A little bit about myself. I've been fishing just like everybody else since I could walk. The minute I could hold a fishing pole in my hand, I was out on the water. Grew up fishing northern Illinois and southwest Michigan. My partner was my cousin and still is for the longest for fishing. Fished out of everything from a plastic Coleman to an actual bass boat and now into kayaks. Currently I'm paddling a Predator PDL, and then when I'm not in my kayak, I'm on the pontoon out in Michigan fishing. So an array of vessels. Other than that, my job allows me to travel. So while I'm traveling, I'm checking out a bunch of different destinations and things to do around there. A lot of what I like to do is look for different breweries, distilleries, and odds and ends attractions, whatever the town may hold. So this is why we're going to be doing this segment. There's a lot of like-minded individuals out there who are looking for travel tips, and we're here to bring it to you. So tonight we're going to have 3 hosts who are here from our hometown, Chicago. Introduce you guys to our OG host, Brian Schiller.
Yo.
We're going to introduce you to Dusty, the man, the smallmouth magic.
What's up, guys?
And none other than Duke Weskamp, owner of Ketch Boards.
What's up, fellas?
The king of hams.
King of hams. Guys, welcome to the show, and thank you for coming on.
No problem, man. Happy to be
Thanks
here.
for having me, man.
Yeah.
So let's start off with the normal questions I always ask. We'll start with you, Brian. How long have you been fishing and kayaking?
I've been fishing since I was 7, so like 31 years. But fishing out of a kayak, I think it's going on year 3 now.
Cool. Dusty?
How long have I been, is the question how long have I been fishing out of a kayak?
How long have you been fishing, and how long have you been kayak fishing?
Oh, man, yeah. I mean, fishing since since I could remember. I think some of my earliest memories of, like, looking at stuff and running around was, like, with a little pole or trying to get to the pier or something like that. So I've been fishing my whole life. And kind of like you, Jason, out of a variety of platforms, like everything from like a Coleman Crawdaddy to a Canoe. I owned a 16-foot John boat for several years, and then kayaks. I'd say 5 or 6 years. Started with a cheap sit-in, and then graduated to the Hobies that I'm in now.
Nice. And Duke, how about yourself?
I mean, I'm pretty similar to Dusty. I've been
Frozen on me?
Yeah, I'm frozen on it.
We good here?
I've been fishing like more or less my whole life. I'm 40 and I've been fishing, since I was 5 or 6 years old. But the kayak thing is new within like the last 10 or 12 years, and I didn't even really know there was a competitive landscape until just like the last few years. So like that's only the last few years have I been involved with the the competitive landscape of the sport. With very minimal success, as Dusty pointed out in the green room.
Well, and to your attribute though, you and everyone here within the podcast, you guys are a sponsor of the podcast, and Dusty's on your team for Ketch Boards. You want to talk about Ketch a little bit?
Oh, I mean, we've talked about Ketch a ton, man. It's we're proud to be sponsors of Paddle and Fin, and it's a great platform. We love what you guys are doing, and man, do your thing, man. We don't need a plug.
Awesome. So, quick round of question. Your PB bass from a kayak, and Brian, we'll start with you.
Geez, I think it's 20 3/4 smallmouth. I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Dusty.
We're kind of cutting out. Are you asking about a big bass?
Yeah,
Yes.
biggest bass out of a kayak.
What was the question of the biggest bass I caught?
Out of a
Yep.
kayak.
Out of a kayak, 22 inches. Oh no, it might be slightly over, but documented 22 inches.
Cool. Duke.
Largemouth bass.
I mean, define document.
You got a photo to prove it.
On the bump board or just a photo?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I'm torn here.
I'm torn here.
I don't want to get crucified. We'll say 21 inches.
21 inches.
Yeah.
Cool. Before I had any type of catch or bump board, when I first started kayak fishing, I had a 21 3/4 from Lamont Quarry largemouth. So
Nice.
my kayak, and then my personal best out of the boat was a 6-pound out of Sweet Lake, Michigan.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
Very cool.
all right, guys. Well, since we're talking about Chicago and this is a fishing podcast, what are some of your favorite bodies of water to fish around here? Brian, we'll start with you.
Public bodies of water?
Sure.
Yeah, public, bro.
I'm coming from out of town, so you're my guide.
Just Illinois or like just over the border as well?
If it's within an hour or two, yeah.
I mean, I've spent a ton of time fishing on Lake Geneva, which is just over the border. That's probably one of my favorite fisheries in the area. If we're talking like power plant lakes, which Illinois is known for, I'd say either St. Chris or Newton are two of my favorites. And then like close to home, my favorite public body of water is probably the Kishwaukee River for smallmouth.
Awesome. Let's go with you, Dusty.
I got a lot of similar things to what Brian said. I fish Lake Geneva quite often. In fact, this year it's kind of neat because with the Wisconsin DNR has changed its rules. You used to have to wait till May to get on those waters like Lake Geneva, but now it's April, so it's kind of a neat perspective being on there so early. So Lake Geneva is certainly one. The Lake Delavan area I grew up in too, so that's certainly another one. Around Chicago, it's funny because I have these conversations with people, especially when I'm talking to people who live in like the hotbeds of the bassing world, like in in the South, somewhere in the country where it's much better and they have a lot of opportunities. Because in Chicago, it's just kind of a brutal thing. We have to sort of travel down to central or southern Illinois for some really good bass waters. But the elephant in the room is the lakefront.
Yes.
Lake Michigan, that I don't really target at all. I think I've been on Lake Michigan in a kayak twice, without much success. I'd like to get to know that body of water a little bit better. Like you said, you caught some really nice ones at the Lamont quarries. I've had some success over the past couple years at the Lamont quarries in terms of like something local, like within a half an hour. The Fox River I used to hit quite often, and I've caught some really nice smallmouth out of there from like the Silver Springs area. I think it's Yorkville and Silver Springs.
Yeah.
So yeah, some smaller spots. The list can go on, but living in Chicago, I think everybody fishes the same waters, man. Real similar waters, and to sort of separate yourself from that pack, you have to hit small bodies, maybe even from shore, or maybe drag a small kayak into some more hidden stuff, and Google Earth and all that kind of stuff is invaluable for doing that. And there's guys that do it. In the local Facebook clubs, in the local chats, man, there's guys that, 7 pounds, 8 pounds, and, it's something that they do, from shore.
Cool. And you know what? I'll hop on to what you said. One of the things that I fish, one of my favorite areas to fish is the lakefront. So when I'm out there, right now we're shut down. There's no access to any of the Chicago lakefront due to this pandemic. However, when it is open, I like fishing the area of the lakefront around Burnham Harbor and going up towards Navy Pier. I'm not too far away from the shore, but there's great spots out there for awesome smallmouth. The everlasting factor though is the wind. You have to it has to be the perfect conditions, otherwise a change in wind could make a bad day out there, and the next thing you know, you're seeking the break walls to take cover from the whitecaps that came out of nowhere. Also too, there's a stretch of river systems. You have mentioned one is the Fox. I also personally like fishing the Des Plaines River, from the area from Burr Ridge down to Romeoville. That area has a great stretch for smallmouth and northern pike. And then one that gets overlooked for Illinois, but is the cleanest body of river, is the Kankakee River. And I usually fish from Wilmington all the way to the mouth of where the confluence of the Des Plaines meets up with it. So those, if anybody was coming here, those are my recommendations I would give to them, especially if you're looking to catch an abundance of fish and to have fun while you're out there. There's other smaller places that can be hard to fish because they're very pressured. But if you're coming here, that's my recommendation I would give out. And Duke, what do you got, man?
I'll second the Des Plaines River. I fish a section like further north than you, maybe from like call it Kenosha on down through Wheeling. There's not a whole lot of good bass fishing there, but there's good bowfin and there's really solid pike in that stretch of the river. It's a river you got to be like fairly careful with because it can get a little bit sketchy. It looks a little innocuous. It looks real safe, and but there's some really gnarly spots on that river, and you probably want to go with 12-foot boats a lot. Like you might want to go with a 9 or 10-foot boat, kind of more like a river setup, because it is pretty. It can get skinny and kind of weird, but up in that same area, Sterling Lake up in Wadsworth. I gave Dusty an invite to come out and do some rather unsuccessful muskie fishing this last Saturday. That's a lake that I think that is like totally underrated. It's super accessible. Good walleye. There's muskie in the water. There's a really, really solid panfish population up there. Gets overlooked a lot. I love Banner Marsh, man. I think that whole area down there is, dude, that's an awesome area. There's like superb musky fishing. There's superb bass fishing down there. Pan fishing again, good cat fishing, like not monster cats, but like, you know, like solid, like put it in the frying pan kind of catfish fishing. And, you know, you have to like look for them in Illinois. You have to work for your spots, you know, like it's definitely not the easiest state to fish, you know, and right across the way from Banner Marsh to end is like this, you know, the Spring Lake system over there, North and South Spring Lake. And those are both, again, really fantastic musky fisheries and hold like some really superb bass.
Yeah. Nice.
Awesome. That was good insight, guys. So now let's take it to the next step. So we went fishing for the day. We're back in Chicago in our respective areas. And we'll count the suburbs on this one just because there's a lot out there. So now we're going to go around of picking out things to do off the water. We're going to start with restaurants. I want you guys to give me your top 3 restaurants and give me something off their menu you would recommend. Brian, we'll start with you.
Oh, you're starting with me?
You're the OG, man.
I mean, if you want like a really nice dinner, I'm a huge fan of Texas de Brazil, man, out there by Woodfield Mall, or they got one downtown again, I believe. But it's like all you can eat meat, and it's like, I don't know, if you've never been to a Brazilian steakhouse, you definitely have to go. That's one of my faves. I mean, dude, if you're looking for something quick and you're downtown Chicago, Gene and Jude's, I mean, that's a staple, right? And Portillo's. Portillo's.
I mean, dude, whatever.
Dude, you can't be in Chicago and not go to Portillo's.
I was gonna use Portillo's, man. You messing with my answers now.
You can't go wrong
give it
with
2 answers.
Portillo's, dude. Either a Maxwell Street Polish or an Italian beef, one of the two. So.
Oh yeah.
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 That'd be my 3.
All right. Dusty, what are your 3?
3, gosh, man. I mean, I think you took one of them, man. Portillo's. I mean, even though I try to stray from fast food, it's like that's like the reward. I mean, there's really nothing like more satisfying than like a juicy dipped beef with some hot jardiniere and like, you know, some fries with some salt on them, man. That's really all I need, man. Some water or like a pop or something or a beer. It's really, really tasty. But are we talking the best 3 local to here in Chicago?
Anywhere in the suburbs, Chicago, whatever.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, man, when I fish like Geneva or Lake Delavan, there's this little place called Snug Harbor that has a lot of places have Friday fish fries, but there's this one place that has, you know, fish fries real popular, and they serve cod or walleye, and their walleye is to die for, man. And that's kind of a food related place that I associate with fishing. Definitely, we try to go up there a couple times a year. Around Chicago, gosh, you know, you really put me on. I mean, first off, Chicago is a world-class destination for foodies and for restaurants. I mean, you take your pick. I mean, there's tons of them. But I'm a pretty simple guy, man. I just like I like a simple good meal. It's not a specific location, but it's more of a region where you have a lot of different options. I work in the town of Cicero. It's not too far from Little Village, but it's right there on 22nd and Cermak. There's just a ton of awesome taquerias and little Mexican places that know your name and recognize you, and just the food's cheap. It's homemade, you know, like, you know, age-old recipes, really good tacos. So, I mean, that's kind of where I work. I'm always stopping there and getting tacos and eat. So I'd recommend, you know, some Mexican food from the 22nd area in Cicero.
Nice.
Yeah. Gosh, nothing's really coming to the top of my head, guys. There is a really good, gosh, I can't think. What was that place, man? Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't think of the name right now. It's kind of
Hey, what's the name of that place you took us to up in Geneva? The taco place.
I took you guys there?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, which one?
It's got like the slightly kind of like edgy name to it.
Oh man, I think I know where you're talking about too.
He's not trying to give up his favorite
No idea.
taco location.
Let's just say it's south of Lake Geneva.
Speaking of food, I'm always. Yeah, sorry guys. You guys are cutting out a lot. It's hard for me to hear.
I can see and hear you, Dust.
Oh, okay. What I was saying was that, like, speaking of food, I try to avoid eating out, man. I prefer to like eat the food that I buy, and from home it's like much healthier. So I'm always like making little sandwiches and snacks and fruit and bags and like shoving stuff in the front hatch. That's pretty much where I'm eating. So when I go out to eat, it's usually like with friends or for dinner or something, like with Maria and stuff like that.
Cool. Duke, what do you have to add in?
All right. So here's my locations. All right. I mentioned Sterling Lake and I mentioned the northern stretches of the Des Plaines River, and the whole reason why I've even tolerated fishing, which can sometimes be difficult in those places, is Captain Porky's. So it's up in Wadsworth, dude. If you haven't had it,
that's such a Duke Weskamp place. Just
tell
by the
him I
name
sent
of it.
you. Yeah, tell him Duke sent you. Because they're like, here's the down part. They haven't really figured out the delivery thing. So with the COVID outbreak, they've been broken down. So I got skunked in Wadsworth last weekend, and I didn't get any Captain Porky's.
Oh man,
that's heartbreaking.
I should have just gone to Geneva with Dusty here, and I'd have had a fantastic day on the water. And instead, I got skunked out on Sterling and no barbecue. But it's amazing in season.
Captain
another place,
man, I want to try that, man. I have a tip.
It's amazing. All right. Yeah. So another place, like if you're working Bussy Woods, and it's a little bit of a poke from Bussy Woods, it's like 10 minutes. Capri Deli in Palatine.
Yeah.
Just get the focaccia sandwich with the prosciutto. Just you need like you could get a quarter of one, but if you want like for like a whole day, just get yourself one of the whole the whole Capri Deli focaccia sandwiches. Like it'll stay good in a cooler like all day. It's like an entire day's worth of a meal. It's amazing.
Where is Capri? Like what's it on?
It's like right at the Dundee and 12.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
It's a little
like
hole
over there.
They got really good cannolis, but they're like it's just the prosciutto sandwich, the prosciutto stack, like it's like thick, man. It's like a thick like you can't and it's a fresh prosciutto or it's a fresh focaccia bread sandwich. Like it's just really good. Like you got to have it to appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And then one of the other places is up in Stoddard, just south of La Crosse, Stoddard, Wisconsin. The Thirsty Turtle, man. Seriously, dude. Right. I love the ladies at the Thirsty Turtle. They've always taken good care of us, man. It's like just good, affordable bar food. Good people, man, and like that's what this is all about, right? Like having a fun time when you're on the road.
Oh yeah.
If you go to the Thirsty Turtle and don't have a fun time, I will give you your money back, man.
All right, folks, you hear that? Hold him to his word.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Joan, that's awesome. Those are great recommendations. I'm gonna throw. Go ahead.
You know what? I do recall one place actually when I'm going through Richmond, Illinois, on the way to like Geneva or Delavan. In Richmond, there's a I think it's called Main Street Coffee Shop or something like that. It's a really old building. It's a really cool shop. They used to have a piano in there. I'd go in there and jam on the piano while they made my espresso or whatever. But they did a lot of remodeling, and their coffee and their coffee and their drinks are like amazing. They got like really nice espresso machines, and they have a really good coffee, and all their food they make is like homemade and out of this world. And the things they bake, like their pastries and cinnamon rolls, they're insane. And Maria loves them, and we always got to stop. They open at 8 a.m. So the last few times I've been through Richmond, they haven't been open because they'll meet you out with like mask and gloves and like give you to-go food. And then kitty corner to that place is, I forget the name, but it's a bratwurst house that specializes in homemade stuffed bratwurst. And I think I had one with like Gruyere cheese and mushrooms and like all types of stuff in it. It was amazing, and I always meant to go back, but I never been back. So there's a really good bratwurst house right in the kitty corner to a really good coffee shop place there. So
yeah,
you're
that's exactly what it's called. It's called the Brat House.
Yeah, the Brat House. Yeah.
Yep.
Is that on 12?
It's right. Yeah, it's on 12, going
on
right
12,
before you hit 173.
Yeah. Exactly. Got good beers on tap and stuff, so it's a decent place.
Nice.
That restaurant right down the hill, I forget what that's called, has a great fish fry too. It's right on the river there with the outdoor deck. It's got a great fish fry too.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking. Yep. Very cool, man.
An Irish place.
Yeah.
A little funny story, kind of going off the track, but it's in Richmond. Before I was kayak fishing, I like golfing, and me and a couple friends were out there just to go hang out around Lake Geneva. But there's a golf course right on the corner there of 12 and 173, and we're like, all right, yeah, we'll play around. And we went to that Irish pub you had just mentioned. They opened at 10, so we got a few drinks there because they didn't have a clubhouse. And we roll up like, what is this? So there's two trailers there. One is like their office, the other one is like their all their maintenance facility. We're like, all right. It was probably the most redneck golf course I ever played. Like the sign says, hole 7's this way. You walk, you're like on the other side of the course on hole 15. We're like, dude, this makes no sense. The map had no directions on it, so we just literally played whatever hole we walked up to is what we played.
I think that place is now closed down. So.
But yeah, you know what? I'll throw out what I have for everyone listening. Chicago, we're big for pizza. Pizza's a big one. Everyone, if you're coming here, you're gonna see Giordano's or go to Gino's East for deep distance and stuffed pizza, which is awesome. Go ahead, go do it. But there's a little spot here on the south side of Chicago called Cipriani's. Cipriani's makes the best stuffed pizza you will ever have in your life. And I'll hold up, just like Duke said, I will give you your money back if you don't like it either. Yeah. Boom. Yeah, Cipriani's.
I'll go try it for sure.
63rd Street, south side of Chicago. I knew it was going to come up. I had Portillo's down for their beef, but if you want a good Maxwell, there's a 24-hour. It's called Jimmy's, and it's technically on Union and Roosevelt, just south of Roosevelt in the UIC campus. You can see it from Interstate 94. They have the best Polish with the grilled onions on top and mustard. And like I said, they're going 24 hours a day, so that grill never turns off there.
Nice.
And then Dusty, you had mentioned the Mexican food on Cermak and Cicero. That's awesome because I don't think a lot of people know, but there is a huge scene for taquerías here in Chicago, and there's so many small mom and pop places that offer some of the best food you'll ever have in your life. There's even like street carts, guys who push the street carts and make tacos out the street carts.
Amen.
Yeah,
dude. Even out as far as the suburbs.
Yeah.
Even out as far as the suburbs out here in East Dundee, there's taquerias. Like I've got like a dozen like awesome taquerias within 5 minutes of the shop, man. There's a huge Hispanic culture in Chicago, and yeah, like you can get some good ass tacos.
You want to talk about barbecue in Dundee, man? There's that guy, I forget the name of it. He's got like an old caboose train car down there by the Dairy Queen by the bike path. And in the summertime, he does barbecue, and he starts his stuff early in the morning. And once he's sold out, he closes down for the day. I think it's Duke's Barbecue, actually. Yeah. It's something like that, but he does it. He's got huge smokers out there, dude. If you haven't had that, as soon as he opens up this summer, man, you got to go down there. You'll thank me later. I'm telling you what.
In East Dundee?
Yeah. Right there by the river where the bike path goes along the Dairy Queen, Fox River, and there's some good smallmouth in there too.
Yeah.
But it's right there. You just park. You'll see a train caboose right off the bike path right there. And there's picnic tables and stuff, and you could even call an order to go and bring it back to your office, man, because it's probably 5 minutes from your office. I'm telling you what, man.
Sign me up, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, just like with food, we need something to wash it down. Next thing I'm gonna ask you guys what are your favorite breweries here in the Chicagoland area?
Brewery or bar, or either or?
Bars are coming up, but we're gonna go with breweries because there's one I need to mention. If you have not been to this brewery, you are missing out on a great time.
Damn.
So Brian, go ahead.
I don't know.
Give me one.
I know Goose Island's downtown, right?
Yeah, Goose Island. There's actually a couple locations for Goose Island, but yeah.
I like the 312s. By the Kayak shop, Rocktown is Prairie Street.
Yep.
They got some really good beer and really good root beer that they brew themselves. And the other one is in Barrington, the Onion Pub and Grill.
Dude,
that's a good
Ketch corporate headquarters was like 2 blocks from that place way back in the day, man.
Yeah, I had a hand in some of the hardwood flooring that's in that place. So
you said it's called the Onion?
Onion Pub and Brewery. It's right off of Route 14 and back in the industrial park. And there's like they have a pretty slick patio in the summer. There's a big lake out there that fire and rescue uses for like diving rescues and stuff. That's back there. It's an old like gravel pit or something, I think.
Nice. I'll definitely have to check that. Just the title alone and Duke's reaction, I'll definitely have to check that one out myself.
Yeah, I think they usually have like 15, 16 beers on tap or something like that.
Nice. Dusty, what do you got for your favorite brewery? Whether it's big or microbrewery, what do you got?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's been like a decade since I used to go to the breweries out here in Chicago. I remember I think it's in Indiana though. The Three Floyds Brewery.
Three Floyds. Yeah, and they actually just started a distillery. Yeah, they should be coming out soon with their whiskey production.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah, the Three Floyds, man. I definitely enjoyed that one, and of course Goose Island back in the day, I really liked. But yeah, man, as far as Chicago ones, I don't really recall going to many of them of recently. I know when I don't know, Brian, if you were there, you might have been there. I'm not quite sure, but when we fished the Madison Trail event on the Madison chain, there's a brewery right by that chain that was was phenomenal. Every beer I had was awesome. Their bluegills and their dinner was their food was so good. It's a giant brewery with tons of parking.
Is it Asylum Brewing?
Asylum. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah. I was up there. I was up there too when we did Madison.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. It's a really big one. You can't miss it when you drive by. It's giant. Yeah.
By the Dane County Airport, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
I'll throw this one out here, and this is gonna crush Duke, but Pabst. If you go up the road into Milwaukee, Pabst, my cousin's brother-in-law, works for them, and they took right across the street from the head office. They took an old church and turned it into a smaller batch brewery, and they do a lot of testing there and stuff. They got live music on the weekends there, things like that. So they offer a lot of like beers that you wouldn't necessarily put against Pabst Blue Ribbon, aka PBR. I know that's some of Ham's competition there, but yeah, it's a cool spot to go if you head up to Milwaukee.
Cool. Duke, what do you got?
I used to mess with some Pabst before they sold to the Russians. I only mess with the red, white, and blue. So, my answer is I'll go anywhere they serve an ice cold, tasty American lager known as Hams. In the land of the sky blue waters.
The Olympic Tavern.
Anywhere.
Oh, man.
So, for those who have not been to Chicago or those who don't know about it, one of my favorite breweries you guys have to, like, there's no question to ask about it, you have to check out, is Lagunitas.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny where it's set is kind of like behind a hospital next to a movie studio. But if you walk in there, it's like walking through the Wonka factory. And it is set up just like that. They do tours, and they have an awesome food menu. They open up their doors at noon, and you walk out at like 6 or 7 p.m., and you're like, where did the day go? Because that's how much fun you have there.
Nice.
And their beers are awesome. And they're more of a bigger, they're nationwide, but they brew quite a bit of local exclusively to that brewery. So if you have not been to Chicago, definitely check out Lagunitas. If you live in Chicago and you haven't been to Lagunitas, what are you waiting for? Get down there.
I haven't been there.
Yeah, you're not going to regret it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Another one, if you're in the, I guess it would be Logan Square, Wicker Park area to check out, is Revolution Brewing. That's another fun one to go to. And then there's a bunch, if you guys are into craft beers,
Nope.
there's an app out there. Anyhow, it gives the location of all the microbreweries in Chicago, and there's over 100 within a 50-mile radius. So take your picks. Locally, to me, we have Blue Nose, Buckle Down, Imperial Oak Brewing, and then literally a 5-minute drive. It would be 2 minutes if there wasn't a set of train tracks that I had to go around. Is Five Rabbits Brewing.
Nice.
So, all right.
I can tell you get excited by the breweries, Jason.
I like
That's his
beer and I
shtick,
like
man.
whiskey. And for those
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
For those who have an acquired taste for whiskey, we do have a micro distillery here in the Chicagoland area. It's called Quincy Street Distillery. It's in Riverside, Illinois, and it's set up to be a speakeasy. So when you go there, you're gonna walk into a storefront, and the bar is hidden by the door, and it brings you to a storefront bar. And
Nice.
they brew everything's distilled there. We've been there since they started because the fire department I worked for on the side, we were there when they were getting all their permits and everything together from their origins. So their stuff has aged over the last 4 to 5 years, and now they're in their 7th year of business. So, and not only do they brew bourbons and whiskeys, they also brew vodkas, gins to go with the tonic, and then different craft cocktails there.
Nice.
Where is that?
So it's in Riverside. It's on Quincy Street, just east of Long Common. And you're from that area, so.
Yeah, I'm like 10 minutes from there.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's right by where that PNC Bank is, or whatever they changed it to now.
Okay.
So,
What's it called again?
Quincy Street Distillery.
Quincy Street Distillery. All right, cool.
Cool. So we're gonna move on to, I got bars. Do you guys have? I know Brian, you already mentioned the Onion.
No, my favorite 2 Chicago bars. Yeah, I only got 2.
Right.
Chicago Blues and Kingston Mines. It's on the north side. They're blues clubs.
Yeah.
I used to hang out there quite a bit back in the day. But if you want to see some good live music and have some good stiff drinks, definitely one of those 2 places. And they're right across the street from each other. And if you're in town on the weekend, I think on Sundays, you pay 1 cover and you get into both bars and you see 3 bands play, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Cool. Dusty?
Jeez, man, bars. I mean, I'm like thinking back to my degenerate days, man. I can't.
That's what I went back to.
Dude, I'm thinking like weird stuff in the stalls and the urinals and stuff. What the hell kind of memories are you dragging up?
Whoa.
What's this hole in the stall?
I'm just kidding.
You might want to keep the weird stuff you did in the stalls and the urinals off the podcast, bro.
Dusty Yakker. That guy's weird. I mean, I don't even know if those bars have the same name, for Christ's sake. I mean, it's funny that you say that, Brian. Kingston Mines, because I had a great time when I used to hang out there. That is a fun time. If you come to Chicago, and you know, like the blues and stuff, it's a great scene. Kingston Mines, definitely. Also, the Green Mill. I used to go to the Green Mill all the time and check out a lot of jazz. And they make great cocktails, have great drinks there too, up on the north side. But other than that, I mean, there's a couple. I did the town I live in. Actually, it's funny. It's a good question. The town I live in, Forest Park, is known for its bar strip because in a suburban setting, it's about 10 minutes west of the city, 15 minutes west of the city. The surrounding towns used to be dry. So they didn't sell liquor. So people would come to this town historically for its strip of bars, notorious for it. And a lot of them were long-standing bars that didn't change names, like stereotypical Irish bars and stuff like Murphy's and O'Sullivan's. And these are really cool old bars to hang out with. When you're from the town, it can get kind of old, but lots of people flock to this area because Madison Street, the same street that extends into Chicago, with the United Center on it and whatnot, holds these strip of bars. And, when I was a kid, it was a lot of fun because, you grow up with, sisters and brothers and friends, and then, they give you IDs when you're like 18 and 19 and you get into bars because you can't wait till you're 21. And then, by the time you're 27 or 30, man, you don't want to be at those bars anymore, man. So, there was a good strip of bars here in my hometown that were pretty notorious. If you ever get into Chicago and you want to visit Forest Park, there's some really cool old Irish bars you can go into and just get an awesome Guinness poured from old school, people that know what they're doing. And there's some cool live music and some good restaurants and stuff too. So my hometown actually has a pretty cool strip of bars.
I may or may not know the individual who owns a certain bar on that street. Who may or may not be listening to the podcast when this comes out. So,
they probably know. Well, what's it start with? The bar letter
S.
Oh, okay, all right. Is it an Irish name?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So he'll know. We'll just keep him on the DL. Sorry, Cap. So awesome. Duke, your go-to bar.
Oh man, I don't even go to bars anymore.
It's not what locally. I heard.
Oh no, not locally. Like when I'm on the road, I can have some road brews, man. Taking the local culture. It's incumbent upon me, especially if we're video documenting these things, to go on the road and seek local culture. But like in Chicago, I so rarely drink anymore, man. There used to be this great little brewery in Lincolnshire called Flatlanders, that I had
Yeah,
my
I think they're
name
still there.
on the bar stool at that place. I was like an OG over there. Other than that, like, there's like, well, it used to be called Harry's. Now it's some shitty burger place in Arlington Heights, but we go there. It's like what is it called? Cortland's Garage. Sorry, Cortland's Garage. I guess we can sign them off the Ketch sponsorship email list. But it used to be this really cool local bar before that. Now they sell hipster burgers. But they're not bad if you're in Arlington Heights and like get a pinch for some food.
Nice.
Hey, Duke, what was that the one we went to where I met you in Vasilis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to go to that place with my dad and my stepmom back in the day when it was a really cool local bar. What was the name of it?
It was called Harry's, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Harry's. Yeah.
It was just the most
absolutely.
awesome little local dump for like the longest time. It was awesome. It was like they had like that dive bar vibe, but like good food. The owner Harry did freaking like he would do a trivia night. It was a trivia night. He'd do a trivia night like once a week until he was like in his late 90s, man.
Wow. That's awesome.
It was just one of those like fun little local things. But yeah, now it's the Cortland's Garage. Sorry, Cortland's.
Well, and you know what? That's and there's no shame in it, man. This is we're pleasing everybody's appetites, from everyone who likes to go to the upscale like Kingston Mines and having stiff drinks like that, to the absolute dives. You know, everyone fits in between. So
I was gonna throw another one out there. A friend of mine, he owns Andy's Jazz Club. That's really like upscale. Like if you're in town with your wife or something, and you want to get dinner and listen to some good jazz, and then hopefully get lucky later that evening, man. Go to Andy's for sure.
You gotta close the deal. Go to Andy's, man.
But they have some
close the deal for you.
Yeah, they got some world-renowned jazz musicians that flock through there, man. And it's a really cool spot. It's been featured on. It was like Chicago PD or Chicago FD or whatever, one of the TV shows or something. They filmed a couple scenes in there and stuff like that. But they got awesome food and great music too, man.
Sweet. I'll give you guys at minimum two, maybe a third will come to mind. The one I will tell people to go to, and it's not for the faint of heart. You gotta have some skin when you go here, is Kuma's. Kuma's is awesome. If you can hold off on the death metal and metal that plays in there, their drinks especially their handcrafted cocktails, are freaking amazing.
What's wrong with death metal, bro?
Oh, dude, there's nothing wrong with it. That's why I flocked there.
Dude, the last time I went to Kuma's, I got violently ill. I mean, I don't know if it was.
I was there, bro. I was there.
I woke up. I thought I had to go to the hospital, man. It was like 3 or 4 a.m. I thought I had to go to the hospital, man. But they do have. It's a cool place, man. You should. That is a really cool place. They have great burgers, and the drinks are good, man.
And then another place that I would definitely recommend. Now, there's from north to south, from the lakefront all the way west. But if you're gonna hang out on the lakefront, there's an awesome bar. It's at Montrose Park, and it's called Doc's. It's seasonal, but it's one of 3 lakefront bars that are there, and they have every Wednesday they have live reggae playing while you're sitting on the beach having a cocktail.
Nice.
You don't find that in Chicago. When you do, that's the only place you're going to find it at. And the last dive bar I would tell people to go to in Chicago if they were looking would definitely be Joe's on Weed. That's a fun place to go. It's huge for sports. They are one of Chicago's sports bars, so they recognize as a Bears bar or Blackhawks bar. And I want to say they're they're biased to Indiana University, so all Indiana games are there. But those are my 3 for people to check out. Plus, they get some good bands coming through. Once all this is over, with this COVID, we can't wait to get back out there. So,
Nice, man.
all right. Well, like I said, everything from upscale to dives of dives, that's what it's all about. But now let's say I'm coming here with my family, right? And I want to take my wife and kids out. Give me 1 or 2 things you would do as family fun here in Chicago, or that you guys like to do, even if it's like a first date scenario, whatever comes to mind. Brian.
First date scenario or bring your family? That's a vastly different set of like we're
Totally.
The first impression is always the best impression, right? You're just gonna lay the ground rules here.
The golden, yeah. All right.
I mean, Chicago, man. It's like the staples, Navy Pier or Millennial Park or whatever it is. I mean, anything on the lake. Millennium Park. I'm not sure. I don't get downtown very often.
Schiller's taking him to the Bean.
I think. I don't think. I mean, I think anything on the lakefront or downtown. I mean, it's just a sight to see, man. If you've never been to the big city, it's just cool to see it, and especially at nighttime. Something different.
Sweet, Dusty.
Yeah, man. It's so funny, man. I mean, normally, I pretty much speak my own mind, but every question you've asked that Brian answers, like fishing spots and restaurants, and our lakefront is truly, yeah, our lakefront is truly a prize, and I think it draws people from around the world. It's renowned in historic architecture. The history behind, like the Millennium Park area and the Grant Park area. And like how that's not been developed, the history behind that, like the champions behind that not being developed is an awesome story. You can find it on some really cool Chicago documentaries and PBS specials and stuff. People fought long and hard so that area wouldn't be developed, like along the lakefront there.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a really cool place to check out. Like the places that you mentioned. Also, one of the as I age and as I get older, I mean, I'm unabashedly not a fan of the big city. I mean, I have to move. I have to get out of Illinois. It's no good for me. I want to get to a different place that's cheaper, easier, less stressful, less crowded. But growing up in Chicago and living here, it's undeniable how much of a world-class city it is with respect to restaurants and things like that. But one of the really neat things about Chicago is its museums.
Yeah,
it's got awesome museums that I never tire of, that I really haven't been to, that I haven't been to in a couple of years, that I used to go to all the time when we were kids, because it seemed like back then they were free or cheap, because my mom, who was broke, took me and my sister all the time, and she didn't have like any passes or anything like that. But I believe there are still days where it's discounted or free, and you have museums like world famous museums like the Field Museum, the Planetarium, the Shed Aquarium, the Museum of Science and Industry that a lot of my childhood memories are from. So I would really recommend a day checking out the Art Museum right downtown and maybe the Field Museum that's not too far from it, to get a taste of some cool Chicago architecture, some renowned museums, and of course some renowned art and exhibits too. So.
Amen.
Cool. Duke.
Well, one of the things that I've started doing since I had a family is the Brookfield Zoo. My wife gets a year-long pass there, and we take our kids there all the time. It can be a fun, expensive afternoon, but it's it definitely keeps the little ones entertained. Man, putting me on the spot with this, and I heard 2 people answer it before me and take all the same spots that I would have taken. Thanks for putting me last in the queue, bro.
Damn. Sorry, you got
yeah,
to give me some leeway here. It's my first podcast.
No, I'm gonna break balls. That's what I do. But no, I mean, like a lot of the lake fun opportunities. I mean, we're all anglers, so like, you know, the natural inclination for us is to think, you know, straight away to the lakefront opportunities, which are awesome. You know, if you've never experienced the Great Lakes region, I used to live down in Myrtle Beach, and one of my buddies like, well, what's it like when you look at like from the beach of like Lake Michigan? And I'm like, dude, it's like the ocean, man. When you're on the beach, like you don't see any other side. I'm like, it's a huge body of water. I'm like, it's a big ocean in the middle of the United States, and it's beautiful, man. There's sailing opportunities, there's fishing opportunities, there's all sorts of paddling opportunities out there. You know, right now there's a huge resource of, you know, salmon, you know, coho salmon and brown trout that are being caught like just a little bit north of where we're at, which is an amazing angling opportunity if that's what's like, you know, kind of driving you to the area. But you know, I'll be honest, it caught me off guard because I'm in the same position that Dusty's in. Like, I'm itching to get out of the city or further away from the city. But I mean, that's not to say there's not a ton of culture and opportunities available in the city. It's just to say, I'm in the same boat where I'm looking to get out of this place, man.
It's like I always say, it's nice to visit, but not nice to live there. You know what I mean?
You're like an hour and a half.
I know. That's hey, I keep moving further and further west, bro.
You know, it's funny. I can't move out of my job. I had to have home residency here in Chicago, so I have now 26 more years to go till I can retire and collect the pension. But you know, I feel the same way. You know, I do want to go to a different state, but knowing that I'm here and what my job offers to me is second to none. So you know, I'm very thankful for that. Being that I grew up here most of the time, you know, for majority of my life, there's one thing that if I had to tell people one place to go and check out, it really didn't happen until I was in my 20s, but the sky deck on the Sears Tower.
Yeah.
You got to get over your fear of heights, and two, you're going to get your breath taken away, especially on a good clear day, of how far you can see from up there. It's unique. It's one of a kind. And if you had to choose one thing to do for a day, I would definitely do that. Because a lot of what you guys have said is what I was going to say too, especially the museums. But I think people overlook the sky deck. But if you have the opportunity to do that, by all means. And then, you know, there's other things out there, family fun wise. Baseball fans, we have two baseball stadiums here. We have guaranteed rates. I still call it Comiskey Park, and Wrigley Field. I don't know who's Cubs fans, but there's different references for that. But yeah, both are great stadiums to catch a ball game at. And then if you're into football, legendary Soldier Field. That place is, if you've never been there, it's a monstrosity, and it's awesome to see. It's huge. So yeah, definitely come down, check out those with the family. So
man.
What we're gonna be, so we're at 57 minutes. We're gonna do I message you guys. So I'm going to pick Duke. We're gonna do
why you gotta pick me first? No, I'm not ready. I need to hear. I need to hear. I think you're gonna do it in reverse order now. I'm gonna get a warm up here.
I'm just looking out for you, man. So we're going to do a game of True Confessions. All right. This is going to be unique to my show now. So what I want to do to close this out is have this little game. True Confessions is we're going to pick somebody, one of the guests or the host, you know, we'll go with it as the podcast goes along. But you're going to tell us a story. All right. So Duke, my man. So you're going to tell us a story. And then the three of us are either going to call your bluff or we're going to tell that you're telling the truth. Only you will know, and you will reveal after we answer what we think it is.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So in like 2013, I made the brave decision of having McDonald's breakfast with my fishing partner at the time, Scott Schaefer. And we were out on a unnamed body of water, and I wasn't able to get to the washroom in time, and I invented the aqua dump, meaning I turned around, I pulled my drive from my Hobie, I turned around, grabbed the seat handles with both hands, and I did the first ever aqua dump.
It's got to be true. That has got to be true.
Oh.
And I will cede this record. I'm going to say it happened in like 2013, sometime like April of 2013. I'll cede the record to anybody who's got proper claims to it. But
oh, man.
If you didn't turn around and grab the handles, like the seat, like that's the real way to do it. That's the Duke Weskamp way to do it.
This is sounding like a great story. I call bullshit.
True.
It's true. It's got to be true.
It's so true.
Yeah. I love it.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to, before we end this, number one, I want to give.
I don't get a story.
Oh, I thought we were all doing stories.
Dusty's got a story.
Okay, fine. Everyone can do. Let's go. Let's continue on. Who wants next? Dusty? All right.
All right, man. Well, unfortunately, my dad passed away. Like I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. But dude, the guy was a character, man. I mean, to say the least. He was a total character. Anyways, me and my sister, when we were growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we weren't like dirt poor or anything like that, but we certainly didn't have a lot of money. And as you guys will probably remember, I mean, and now definitely on TV, growing up, when you saw like a Disneyland commercial or saw like a Disney World commercial, I mean, you flipped out. I mean, I would do anything to like go there. I mean, like the once a year Great America trips, were like, epic memories for me. So like Disneyland or Disney World, I mean, even though my sister and I knew it was like out of the question, we would still like bug my mom. And then she'd be like, go ask your dad. And then we'd be like silent because we didn't really want to ask him. But we eventually did. And we started bugging him. And I think one day we asked him, hey, Dad, when are you going to take us to Disney World? When are you going to take us to Disney World? He's like, you know what? Why don't you guys pack a suitcase? Because I've been keeping this from you, and I really want to take you to Disney World because I know you guys have been asking. And we didn't believe him. But he told us he was serious. He's like, pack your bags. We're going to go. And we didn't really know what to think. So I like threw like socks in like a jewel bag. I threw like socks, a swimming trunk, and like 2 T-shirts that were in my drawer in a plastic jewel bag. And my sister, who was older, like wasn't like telling me that this wasn't gonna happen, so I believed it. She packed like a bag. She had like this Jordache bag, the Jordache jeans bag, and she like put like her stuff in there. And in 2 hours, we literally had these things, and my dad was ready, and he's like, all right, let's get in the car. And it was like nighttime. It was like a weekday. So he gets us in the car, and my mom wasn't there. It was just us. He's like, I'm going to take you guys. It's a long drive, so we'll stop and we'll get food and stuff. So we kind of got excited. So he drives like 10 minutes away to the west side of Chicago to the burnt down projects. And he says, and he goes, kids, Disney World burnt down. We're not going. I was like, what the heck? I was traumatized. We drive 10 minutes back to the house. It's like He's like, there's a fine line between what you want and what you'll really have. That was it, man. That's my dad.
Oh,
I don't know,
man.
sure or not, man.
That's true. That's a true lesson you take with you.
Absolutely
I'm calling shenanigans.
Not. Absolutely not.
I was calling shenanigans, dude.
What kind of degenerate do you think my dad was? He was a gangster, man, but he wouldn't do that kind of stuff.
Oh, man.
He did leave us on an island up in the Hayward area, like on purpose as a prank with my uncle, who stayed on the island. We didn't know it, and it was at night. He took us to the island, got us all off the boat, and then took off. But my uncle was on the island making funny noises with bottles and chains, scaring the absolute bejesus out of us. That's a true story. And he got into big trouble with my mom and my aunts and all the other adults. He's like that. They're like, that's crossing the line, man. So the project story could actually have been a real one, man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Great.
Funny.
Oh, man.
All right, Brian.
I'm tying this one in with my favorite bar in Chicago. We used to frequent it quite often, and me and my buddy rode our motorcycles down there like we usually did, and it was late night. We're on the way home. Just got past the Des Plaines toll there and pulled over. I had to do a little roadside peeing. And my buddy's standing there on the side of the road. I kind of went over the guardrail, whatever, and went to take, relieve the number one. And this car goes through the toll and honks at us. And my buddy's like, dude, you think that was a chick? I'm like, bro, it's 2:00 in the morning. We're two guys on motorcycles on the side of the road. What do you think? And he's like, I'll be back, or come find me. And he takes off on his Harley. So I'm like, whatever, I'll find you. Get back on my bike, cruising down the road. We get up to the Des Plaines Oasis, which isn't there anymore. And sure enough, dude, I see a car, my buddy's Harley, parked behind it, in like his two legs hanging out of the passenger side window. He caught up to the car. It was a chick, got her pulled over, got her number, and ended up going out with her a week later.
Nah, not buying it.
100% true.
Yeah,
She was an exotic dancer as well.
You tell me it's Jay Randall, I'll believe it.
No, it wasn't Jay Randall. It was my buddy Billy Mitchell. 100% true.
Yeah, I'd believe it if it was Jay Randall. I'm calling shenanigans.
Jay Randall's not that cool.
That's a great hashtag.
Very cool, man.
All right. Well, I'm not going to leave everybody out. I'll throw mine out there. So it was 2017. I had just gone on a road trip, or I was on a road trip. We rented an RV, and we went out west to the Grand Tetons and Yosemite. I'm sorry, Yellowstone. So we're out there. It's me and three of the guys who I've known since I was a teenager, and we're all in the fire department now together. So while we're out there, we meet these two chicks, and they're from Canada. All right, cool.
From the Niagara area.
Yeah, and so we're all like, I don't know, you go talk to her. No, you go talk to her. And they come up to us and like, hey, what's going on, guys? And we're just like, oh yeah, we're just hanging out, blah blah blah. So one thing turns into another, and it goes, hey, do you guys want to go party later on? And like, sure, why not? So
Who doesn't like partying?
right. So with the RV, we're staying in the same campground. So it's about 9-10 o'clock. They come over, and next thing you know, we're starting to drink. We're playing games, and we're passing around bottles. And I just lost track of time of what was going on. And so I had to go out and relieve myself as well. And as I'm relieving myself, I kind of don't realize where I'm at. Well, I'm standing there pissing, and here comes an old man out this trailer door. I thought I was standing in front of our trailer. Winds up, I'm peeing on this guy's trailer, and he's starting to come at me. I start taking off running and backing off. I'm like, you know what? Screw you, old man. I start charging towards the trailer, and then I trip over my pants, and I fell flat on my face and knocked myself out. I had to have my buddies drag me back into the camper.
That's got to be true.
I want to say that's true.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
So it is actually false. There's a twist in that story.
Wow!
There's twist in that story, but yes, something similar but not extreme had happened. And we'll leave it at that because I can incriminate somebody if they're listening right now.
Nice.
So
nice.
All right. Well, we got one last thing to talk about before we close this out. Paddle and Fin, we're doing our March Madness brackets. Duke, Dusty, who do you guys got taking it?
Susie Roloff, end of story. Boom.
Well,
Susie.
Heard. Suck
All
it,
right.
Schiller. You're getting taken down.
Hey, if I'm going to lose to anybody, I'll lose to Susie any day.
yeah, I think, we're Ketch family strong here, so we're going to take roll off, and we'll see what happens.
I like
Roll
it.
off,
All right.
roll off
By total domination.
Roll off all the way.
Love it.
Awesome.
That's the Paddle and Fin bracket, right?
Yeah,
Paddle
man.
and
Yep.
Fin.
And
Yep.
to the listeners out there, if you guys have not done your brackets yet, go online to the Paddle and Fin on our Facebook, and we have a video up, and you can fill out your brackets. Send it to paddleandfin@gmail.com by April 20th. You have a chance of winning over $3,000 in prizes. So.
By 420, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Part of that stoner community.
Boom.
We all laugh like a bunch of idiots.
You guys got we'll start with you, Brian. You got any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Oh, man. Everybody knows my stuff.
All right.
Jackson Kayaks, TRC Covers, Wicked Weights, Rocktown Adventures.
Cool. Dusty?
Dude, there's one true sponsor in my life, and you're hearing them right now, man. That's Ketch Products, dude. Seriously, man, it's not because he's right here or whatever. I mean, it really means a lot to me. I think there's some really cool stuff on the horizon, man. And, of course, Ketches. We're talking about sponsors here. Did I get the question wrong? You guys are laughing at me.
No.
Yeah, no, I mean, Duke and Ketch and the whole family that he's put together is really cool. And I look forward to taking the ride from them. While he's here, though, I'd like the opportunity to thank him personally for setting things up and putting things in motion for this Saturday's 5 Live. I don't know if the listeners have really know about that or have heard about that. Will this be broadcast in time for that? For them to get a heads up on that?
Yeah, it'll go up Saturday morning. So
What time?
everything posts at 2 a.m.
Oh, okay. Well, depending on the listeners, you might be able to catch a 5 Live, which is 5 anglers competing against each other from lakes of their choosing around the Midwest. It'll be hosted by Scott Butcher on the Kayak Bass Fishing page. It's from 9 to 12 Eastern and 8 to 11 Central. So if you want to tune in and check that out, it should be a lot of fun. I'll be competing against 4 other guys for $1,000 cash and some prizes. And Duke put up the sponsorship for that and put those things in motion. So I'm super grateful for that. That's a great opportunity and sounds like a lot of fun. And of course, Hobie Fishing, and Quest Water Sports, who believe in me and give me a really great platform to fish from.
Heck yeah, man.
Awesome. Duke, you got anybody you want to shout out to?
Shout out to Ketch Products, makers of the best goddamn bump boards.
Goddamn. Them goddamn bump boards.
Dude, shout out to my buddy Denny Ramiro from On the Water Innovations. That's the trailer that I roll down the road. I believe in it, and if you're traveling a lot and you're looking for a good kayak trail, that's where to go. Stormy from Dakota Lithium. All of our chutes are powered by Dakota Lithium, man, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great business to be working with, and we have a great relationship with them as well. And yeah, and then myself. I'd like to thank myself because I'm awesome and I make all this possible.
I love it. I love it.
Cool.
Love it.
All right, guys. Well, hey, that's going to close out this first episode of Off the Water. Thank you, guys. You guys have been awesome, awesome, awesome guests. And you guys are hearing it first. If you're coming to Chicago, anything that's said on here, we're holding it to ourselves. At least me and Duke are. So check it out while you're here in Chicago. Until next time, I'll see you off the water.